Hello, I'm audible now. Hello.
Yes, audible.
Okay. So in that Spring MVC, in Spring module, we done Spring Core, Spring JDBC, and Spring MVC we just started. And Spring ORM is less priority, I will cover in some time. And then we'll go for Spring REST and Spring Security like that. Okay. Today I'm covering Spring MVC. So what is meaning of MVC? MVC means Model View Controller. What is model? What is view? What is controller? Okay, learning of all these three components is enough for the Spring MVC model. Okay, Spring MVC is nothing but learning all these modules. So generally, if you take any project which is based on Spring, or else like any like JSP serverless, what are different layers are there? What are different layers are there? Simple, I'll ask to create a simple login form. After clicking on login form, it will go and check database to verify the login details. If user is success, give a success login page. If it is failed, give a error message, login failed. Okay, this is a simple task I am going to implement. For that, what I have to implement in code? What I have to implement? I cannot write everything into single Java file. Okay, it's not a maintainability or readability. We have to differentiate the corresponding logic and the corresponding layer. Example. So first, whenever we got a request from the UI, it will be handled at some place. This is called controller. This is called controller. Next one, from the controller, we need to go to database. Directly should not trigger our database call from our controller layer. We have to use some service layer. Okay, from service layer we'll call JPA layer or database logic layer. Here, database logic layer will communicate our external database. That database may be anyone, maybe MySQL, Oracle, MongoDB, or Postgres, anything. Okay, it will communicate to database. After communicating database, it will return response or getting some data, updating some data. It will do internally, and that response will give back to our JPA layer. Okay, up to now what we covered here, it is a controller layer to handle the request which is coming from the browser. Okay, this request which is coming from the browser, it is handled at controller layer. Okay, this is called controller. Then that request, whatever request we got from the UI, it will be go to service layer. You will go to service layer. We should not write our database connection logic in control layer. We should be differentiate that. Okay, it will go for service layer. After that, it will go for the DAO layer. DAO means data access layer. That data access layer will be communicated to our database, and it will fetch some data, or update some data. It will do something and give response back to the again DAO layer. Okay, in this DAO layer, it will hand over to the service layer. In the service layer, we will do validations. Whatever user enter data, login, username, password, and database data, it is both matched or not. If it is matched, it will send back to the response, send back to the controller. Controller will be decide based on whatever data given by service layer. If service tells user credentials are valid, then return a one page response page that is called view. That we will be sent back to the client. That we may be success page or failure page. Okay, this is the basically flow will be happen in the every Java application. Okay, every Java application, its flow will be happen like that. Right? So here in negative scenarios, if you write everything here only, like request handling here only, and service logic here only, database logic here only, directly controller only calling to database and getting some data. If I write everything here, tomorrow there is some exception got related to database. Where you change? You change control layer. To identify that logic, you have to understand the logic and it takes some time. That is a problem. To avoid that, this kind of problems, we will differentiate or we will segregate that logic into different layers. Okay, different layers. This is about model and view. Model, view, controller. Model I'll discuss. Model like a simple kind of Pojo class we already discussed. Okay. View, it is like any JSP page or timely page, HTML page, those we can call it a view. From controller, we will include some response as a view. The response will be sent back to the browser. Okay, controller already we know to handle the request. Okay. So this is the high level flow for the every Java based application for every request from the browser. Okay. This MVC basically used for to develop web-based applications. Remember this, to develop web-based applications. Okay. Already I told Spring Core is a base model for the all the other modules. Okay, Spring Core is base model. So want to connect our Spring application to database, use the Spring JDBC. Okay, so want to connect our application to the database by using JDBC module, we can use the Spring JDBC. JDBC module means internally to use the JDBC. Okay, internally to use the JDBC only. And your application is communicating to database through Hibernate. Okay, by using Hibernate, you will use the ORM, Spring ORM. MVC for to develop web-based applications. Okay, now tell me, I want to create one application which is have database connection, Hibernate connection with the help of Hibernate, and this is a web application. Now, which module I have to include? Web means MVC. Web means MVC. Hibernate means ORM, Spring ORM module. DB means it will be a combination of this. Okay, and we have to add base module, Spring Core module. Like that, we have to decide which model we have to implement. Okay, this will automatically come whenever we are started working on the Spring MVC. Then we'll go into actual Spring MVC concepts. Okay, Spring MVC concepts. To go Spring MVC, I'm taking new page, new file. MVC. We have many concepts in Spring MVC. It will take at least 3-4 days. Okay, today I'll cover the basic concepts. Okay, so first one we need to know about Spring MVC Flow or Spring MVC components. Spring MVC components. In that, first we have a controller, view resolver, handler mapping, okay, handler mapping, controller bin, resolver, and view concepts. These are fine. Okay, to know about Spring MVC components. Next one is Spring MVC Flow. Very important question. Spring MVC Flow. So what is Spring MVC Flow means? Whenever we got a request from the browser, till you respond back to browser, what it will follow internally. Okay, and after that we have many concepts. In Spring we have to discuss many examples. Okay, so examples like we can cover like the mainly I can say interceptors. Okay, interceptors we can use. And then we can use some other concepts, maybe validations I'll cover in a Spring Boot directly. Okay, whatever required for Spring Boot, basics I'll cover here. Okay, interceptor, view resolver. Okay, file upload also I'll cover here. Okay, file upload examples I'll cover here. Like this, I'll cover. Maybe on fly, I'll add some more concepts. Okay, whatever is there in the Spring MVC required, I will cover this. And then we'll go for the Spring Boot. Okay, so today we'll start about Spring MVC components, basic components. First, what is a controller? What is controller? This component is used to identify or to handle the request. To handle the request. Example, whenever we got request from the browser, that request who is going to handle, how going to handle. It may be service layer or DO layer or control layer. How to decide which is class going to handle that. For that, we have to make our class as a controller class. Okay, how to make the class a controller? @controller annotation is used to make our class as a controller. Okay, I told in the stereotype annotations, what are there? Annotations are there in stereotype: component, service, repository, controller. Controller, I did not tell that time. So this is right time to talk about controller. To handle any request coming from the browser, we can use.
@controller is annotation, right?
Okay. So this is the annotation used to make our class to handle the request. Okay. Then we'll go for view resolver quickly. So view resolver basically used to identify the response page or view page location with suffix and prefix. That means what? Suffix. What do you mean of suffix and prefix? So today I'm going to give response as a login successful. That page I want to send. For that, I need to tell to Spring where is that file. Where is that response file? Okay, HTML file or JSP file or some other file, any view file. We have to tell to Spring where is that file and what that file type, what it is, Spring or JSP or timely for HTML. This kind of things we have to tell by using view resolver. View resolver responsible part to identify the response page location with suffix and prefix. Okay, we have multiple or many types of view resolvers. Okay, first one is internal. This is important one. Internal resource view resolver. Second one is resource bundle view resolver. Third one is XML view resolver. Just try to understand names. Bean name view resolver. These all are not required, but these names are important for interview purpose mostly. Okay, these are different type view resolvers. So in the terms of, we can see like first one, internal resource resolver. This one basically resolve the view page where is the location. We have to provide the where is the view location, maybe JSP. This JSP in maybe webina folder or JSP folder, something else folder, that we have to tell, and we have to provide suffix also. Suffix tells like this type is JSP page or HTML page, like that we have to tell. This is a way basically to tell to the Spring where is the view and view location by using view resolvers. Second one is resource bundle, and third one is XML, B name resolver, and tiles view resolver. So in that resource bundle view resolver, what will happen? Based on the resource, based on the URL pattern, it will decide what is the view name. XML view resolver. In that, we have to send some response as a XML. We can use the XML view resolver. And B name, we can tell what is we can match with the some class name to view name. That is a formality of, that is a way of format for the B name view resolver. Tiles for this is a different concept. Tiles, okay, that I'll discuss if it is required. Mainly we'll go for the internal resource view resolver. This is a class. This is a class. We need to configure where is view location. View means what? Simply remember JSP page or HTML page. Okay. Where is view and suffix for the view and type of the view. I can say type of view. It may be JSP or HTML. Example, if it is like welcome.html, what is prefix for this? Prefix we can use. This is there in a web folder. Okay, maybe this is the location for the view. We need to tell to internal resource view resolver where is the view. This is a prefix. Prefix is web.inf JSP and suffix is .html. So at runtime, what will happen? The page will load. This is prefix and view name and this is a suffix. Like that, it will go and load the page. Okay, prefix, immediately view name, immediately suffix. Okay, what is the prefix? It will be web.inf JSP or view location. Okay, what is the view name? Welcome. What is the suffix? .html. It will go to this location and it will load this page. Okay, to tell like this to internal resource view resolver, we have to configure prefix and suffix. Okay, that is for view resolver. Next one is handler mapping. Handler mapping. Okay, what is handler mapping? To map HTTP request URL to our Java method. Our Java method, we can use handler mapping. Okay, how it is? Example, we want to do some value, maybe some login request, http://localhost 8080/app1.login. This is the URL. To execute some code, if I enter this URL from the browser, we definitely has to execute some code backend. That's what in a login page. Okay, how to map this URL to our specific method or specific logic? We can use the handler mapping. This handler mapping basically used for to map our request to corresponding method. Okay, this is a helper class. Basically, this is a helper class for dispatcher servlet that I did not tell, right? This is one more component is there, dispatcher servlet. This is important one. Dispatcher servlet. So dispatcher servlet responsible to many things. This will manage the complete flow of MVC. That will take some help of these classes: controller class, resolver class, handler mapping. In this case, handler mapping is a helper class for dispatcher servlet that will be basically identify the corresponding method which is going to handle this request. Okay, this is the functionality of handler mapping. And so some more information, we have multiple types of handler mapping: bean name, URL, handler mapping, simple URL, default annotation. Fourth one is controller class name. Handler mapping. So these are 4 types for handler mapping. Okay, this bean name URL means it will check what is the URL. URL is login. Okay, after app it is login URL. So it will check login.class. Any class is there with the login.class, that class will be executed. That is a bean name URL handler mapping. It will map bean name, that means class name, to our URL. If both are matched, that logic will be executed. Simple URL means it will follow some URL patterns. Based on the URL, it will be executed. Okay, it will be executed our corresponding logic that we have to configure in our configuration file. Okay, we have to tell to configuration file, if we get a URL of login, execute this logic, that it will be configured in the simple URL. Default annotations means it will be follow some annotations. Okay, that annotation we'll discuss completely. Our class will be follow annotations only. We have to configure annotations. If a request comes from the /login, execute this logic like that. Okay, then one controller class name mapping. In the controller class name mapping, it will map our request based on a controller class. Based on a controller class, we will decide the configuration we have to do in our configuration file. Okay, mostly we'll discuss here default annotation handler mapping. This is very important one, and completely we'll follow this one only. Okay, default annotation handler mapping. Basically, what is handler mapping? To map our HTTP request URL to our Java logic. Okay, that is about handler mapping. So immediately I'm going for important topic. Today's important topic is Spring MVC Flow. Okay, Spring MVC Flow I'm discussing now. It is a very important question for interview. Try to understand Spring MVC Flow. Listen carefully, don't miss the points. Okay, so what is Spring MVC Flow? That means whenever we get a request from the browser, any request, maybe login request, logout request, anyone, okay, maybe balance request. This is the browser example. This is the browser. This simple symbol I'm writing here, and this is our application. This is our application running on a backend. Okay, that backend application has multiple services modules. Okay, for this I'm writing one front controller component, dispatcher servlet. It will be called something handler mapping, controller build method. Okay, I'll tell one by one. Just I'm preparing for the diagram. U resolver, U. This is the database. Okay, so this is the simple application. First, we'll get request from the browser. This is the request that will be coming to dispatch servlet. Okay, dispatch servlet. Dispatch servlet first will call handler mapping. Okay, that handler mapping will be identify appropriate controller beam method. Example, return selection response. It will call handler mapping. It will give okay. Then it will respond back as a okay. So this is simple MVC flow. It will follow. We'll see how it will be happen. So from the browser, simple example I'm writing request HTTP :/ localhost :8080/app/login /login or /welcome, anything. Okay, this is a simple URL I'm sending from the browser. Okay, so what will happen if the browser generates one HTTP request? The request will be sent to our application. Okay, our application. So in that our application, how the request will be handled? Who will handle? Okay, which component is responsible for which thing? Okay, this will be decided by the corresponding component. That flow we are going to learn now. Okay, first browser will generate one request. Okay, this is the first step. Browser generate one request. That request will be come to the dispatcher servlet. Okay, dispatcher servlet is a front controller. This dispatcher servlet will manage complete request response flow. Once request received, to give response back to the client, the complete flow will be maintained by the dispatcher servlet. This is a centralized component. Okay, that dispatcher servlet first it will call handler mapping. Who is the corresponding class? Will be handle this request? Who is the corresponding class will be handled that request? that class name will be given to the dispatcher servlet. That is the third step. That class name will be given to the dispatcher servlet. Who will given? Handler mapping. That handler mapping will give response to the dispatcher servlet. What response it will give? What is the corresponding class name? Who will handle the request? Then dispatcher servlet will call corresponding controller bin method. Whatever class name written, that will be called by the dispatcher servlet. Okay, that logic internally executed. That welcome logic will be internally executed. That logic internally may call DAO layer, may call third-party application, may call any something else, may not call also. Okay, that it depends on our code. If our project is depends on MySQL database, it will call MySQL DB. Our project depends on some other third-party application, it will call that application. If our application depends on something else, it don't depends on database, don't depends on our different application. It will, though it directly written from the service layer, then it will not call this DB. That depends on the logic. It will call the database or something else. Then it will return response back as a model and view. I'm writing shortcut model and view. It is a one class I will discuss. Model and view. That model and view contain model data and view name. Model data means what is the data we are going to send back to the client. View name means what is the corresponding view name. Okay, it will send data model and view. That model and view will be handed over to the dispatch servlet by controller bin method. Again, dispatch servlet call view resolver. This 6 step. These steps are important. That view resolver will identify where is the view. Okay, where is the view? How to access view. This will tell where is view. Okay, where is the view? It will be access. Yes, I'm searching for black letter. Okay. It will tell where is the view, and view location will be given by the view resolver. And that view resolver will send back to the response to the client or dispatcher servlet about view and view location. Just it will give view and view location. Okay, that means what? That view is there maybe in a folder, that view there in JSP folder, that view is in different place. That just location will give by the view resolver. Then again dispatcher servlet. Then again dispatcher servlet will call view. That means it will include the view. It will include the view. That view have the dynamic response. Okay. Now this view, what it will do internally, it will include the response of view page or JSP page. Just think view means JSP or HTML. Okay, it will include response of JSP page. Then that view response will be sent back to the dispatcher servlet. That is this is 8th step. Steps are important, don't miss. See the 8th step. This is the 9th step. 8th step is to calling view. 9th step is to give response to the dispatch servlet. Again, that response will be sent back to the client. These are the steps it will follow. These are steps it will follow whenever we give a request from the browser. Internally, the Spring will follow this flow. This is called Spring MVC Flow. Okay. Just read all the points. Just read all the points. Just go to the flow once. Whenever we give a request from the browser, that request will be stopped at the dispatcher servlet. Just follow the steps once. Okay, so we'll start from the browser request. Whenever we give a request from the browser, that will be stopped at the dispatcher servlet. That is the first point. Okay, better I'm writing points also here because this is a very important question. You have to understand or you have to by heart definitely. So whenever we got browser give request to application, okay, request will stop at dispatcher servlet. Request stop at dispatcher servlet. Okay, this is the first point. Second point, dispatcher servlet calls handler mapping. I'm writing shortcuts, okay? Dispatcher servlet calls handler mapping to identify which controller class going to handle the request. Okay, handler mapping will identify which controller class going to handle the request. That class response will give back to the dispatch servlet. Okay, that is second point. Next one is third point. Again, dispatcher servlet calls controller bin, which method going to handle the request. Okay, which method going to handle the request? That method internally executed. That method internally executed. Okay, logic. That logic internally may call service layer or DO layer or third party application. Finally, it returns model and view. Finally, it returns model and view. What is model and view? Model and view contains model data, that is response data, and view name. Yes, view name. Up to here. Up to what is third point? Dispatch servlet call controller bin which method going to handle our request. Okay, that method internally executed the logic. The logic may call service layer or DO layer, a third party application. Finally, that logic returns. Finally, the logic returns model and view object. That model and view object contains model data and view name. Model data means that page dynamic data and view name. What is view name? Just name. Then immediately, fourth point, then immediately dispatcher servlet calls view resolver. Okay, DS calls view resolver. That one internally identify where is the view, and how to access that. Where is the view or maybe suffix. Where is the view means what? Simply suffix and suffix. Prefix tells what is the view, how to tell where is the view, and type of view. Type of view means JSP or primarily for HTML like this. Okay. DS calls view resolver that internally identify where is the view and type of the view. Up to here, clear, right? That is the fourth point. Fifth point. Now again, dispatcher servlet calls include the view response. DS include the view response maybe by calling render method. Render method is internal part of view. Okay. Render method that response give back to DS. Okay. Sixth point is okay. This is fifth point. Okay, very sixth point. I write it here. Okay. Now again, dispatcher servlet send the response whatever given by view, send response to client or browser. Client or browser. Whatever view given response. Okay. This is the flow will be happened in the Spring MVC for every request. For every request, it will follow same procedure. Okay. Just read yourself all these points, try to understand, and for tomorrow, you only prepare the Spring MVC Flow notes. Okay, how the request start, from where it will start. Okay, what are steps it will follow. Okay, though what are different components it will involve. Complete at least 5 to 6 lines. The notes will be prepared and send in WhatsApp. Okay, why I'm asking this is a very important question. If you go interview, first question in MVC, what is the Spring MVC Flow? Why they ask? Here we'll cover all the components: dispatcher servlet, handler mapping, controller bean, view resolver, view component, model and view. Okay, these are main components for the MVC. Dispatcher servlet is a front controller. It will stop our request for every request. That from there, DS will be managed complete request response flow. Okay, just practice for tomorrow. Prepare some notes for Spring MVC Flow. Okay, send in WhatsApp group. Tomorrow we'll see simple example. Okay, tomorrow we'll see examples. Mostly this week completely I will take Spring MVC only. Then I'll go for the Spring Boot. Okay. Any doubts up to here? Complete theory part today.